Hey, ladies. So, I want to talk about our three pillars. These are created from me. I didn't choose some curriculum to copy or try to find the answers elsewhere. When I went blind, some of you may know this story already. I went into labor with my son, woke up blind, had 5 strokes, all the craziness. And during that time, I had a lot of time to think. The healing process was slow. Well, slow at my level because I'm always on the move. And I had to sit back and think about my life, what I wanted, who I wanted to be. My world was turned upside down. Nothing would ever be the same. I'm partially blind for life. I can barely read. I practice every day, every day. And it's hard. I have books. Barnes and Noble was my favorite store. And I can't read the books. But I had to take a day and think about this resilience that I had found in myself. The moment I woke up and realized I was blind wasn't when I told my doctor the first time. It was 48 hours later when just a flicker of being present came about because I was on so much medication that it was like a dream I was living. But there was this moment when I realized, oh, I can't see. I am blind. And immediately, my response wasn't fear. My response wasn't worry. This is going to sound crazy, but I knew it was on purpose. Immediately, I thought, oh, this is what was meant to be. This was meant to be my story. This was what I was asking for. Not to go blind, obviously, but I was looking for the push. I was looking for the reason to step fully into myself. I was tired of hitting that glass ceiling, and right before all this happened, I was going through that process of just wondering who I want to be, how I want to show up in the world, who I want to help, how can I help them? And when I woke up blind, I knew. I knew that what I already knew was 100% true, that I was powerful, that my story was strong, that my voice was undeniable, that my ability to connect with people was my superpower. But I had never really let it be. And there was this night when I was just thinking, what does this all come down to? And my answer was, my ultimate goal was self-mastery. But I had never defined it. It was always this feeling. What does self-mastery mean? What is that? How do you define it? How could I explain it to someone else? I had never tried. And through that reflection, these pillars came up. And it was discipline, acceptance, and courage. That is the journey I had been on my entire life. Those were the values I was building to step into myself fully and really be aligned with who I was, really accept myself and be the powerful woman I knew I was since I was a girl. So let me break this down and how this relates to you and our community. Discipline was always the first. Discipline. So when I was a child, I always thought of discipline as getting in trouble. That was my first thought. But it's not about that. It's about choosing yourself over and over and over again. When it's hard, when it's so hard that you don't think you can do it anymore. It's about choosing to be on your growth journey. It's about realizing that your growth journey is a lifetime journey. It's not a quick fix. It's not all right, I did it. I wish. I wish. But it's up and down. It's not an A to B. It's not a straight line. It is a roller coaster that goes in circles, and it's life. And you get to be disciplined enough to choose yourself, to be on your growth journey, and to continue to grow. Not to settle, not to be comfortable, to be uncomfortable with being comfortable. That's discipline. Acceptance is kind of two parts. First, it's curiosity. It's about being curious about who you actually are, right? Step out of yourself for a minute. Picture yourself looking at yourself, outside view. Who are you? Not what anybody else says, not what anyone else has told you, not any of the billboards or any of the things you see on social media. Really just you. Think about when your baby was born, when you looked at them and just thought, oh my goodness, this amazing little human being is perfect. Who were you then? And when you see your child start to bloom and their mannerisms come out and their opinions and their personality, that's who they are. That's just it. We never questioned it. That's just who they are. And then we get older and society tells us we're not that. And this is wrong and you shouldn't be and you can't be. And we get this warped mindset. But take a minute to come back to yourself. Get curious again. Why do you respond that way? Why does that affect you? Why does that make you excited? And once you get curious, you start to find this beautiful being that has always been you. Then the second part of acceptance is acceptance. You have to accept that beautiful person for who they are, flaws and all. We are not perfect. We are anything but perfect. And I know lots of us struggle with perfectionism, right? Perfectionism, this idea of what is perfect, what should be perfect, what should be normal. And you have to accept that you are who you are. You've done what you've done. You are where you are now. And you will be who you are becoming. Period. And then it's courage. And this is the one that always gets me, because once you really accept who you are, you got to be that person. You got to, girl, you got to show up and show out as yourself unapologetically. That is the slogan, right? Of Rare and Bossy. Rare, bold, and unapologetically bossy. Because that's who we are. No one is like you. There is no one on earth who's like you. And how brilliant is that by design? That only you get to experience you fully. And only you can decide who you want to become and what you do with all the opportunities that fall into your lap and are that you're surrounded with. Courage is about allowing yourself to be vulnerable. As Brené Brown teaches us, you can't be courageous without being vulnerable, and you can't be vulnerable without being courageous, even though we're taught to be courageous and not to be vulnerable. It's about stepping into your power. Discipline is about living in your truth. Acceptance is about owning your worth. And courage is about stepping into your power. Those are our 3 pillars. Those are the 3 core values that I realized I had been living my entire life. And when you get to a place where all 3 are aligned, that's self-mastery. And it's imperfect because it's never perfect. It's just you. And you're beautiful and perfect and majestic and abundant and worthy and phenomenal and precious and flawed. And all that's okay.